And I got some advice for the young. If you got anything you really want to do, don't wait till you're 93.
No, do it.
They aren't that many of the really big good ones.
Because if it's like Charlie always says, all I want to know is where I'm going to die, so I'll never go there. So.
股神巴菲特的黄金搭档查理芒格在2023年的11月28号离开了这个世界。查理芒格不只是传奇的投资人，他还是把巴菲特带到今天这个地位的大智慧人。股神巴菲特在悼念查理芒格的声明中就有讲到，如果没有查理的灵感、智慧还有参与，伯克希尔是无法成长到今天的地步的。所以可以讲，如果没有查理芒格，就没有今天的股神巴菲特。虽然查理芒格离开了这个世界，可是他把他的智慧留在了这里。那查理芒格给我们留下了什么建议还有人生成功的道理？今天这期影片就来分享查理芒格在过去几十年给我们的人生建议，这些建议绝对能够帮我们取得成功。在影片的最后，也让我们一起来回顾那些年股神巴菲特还有他的黄金搭档查理芒格一起互怼的影片，记得把影片看到最后。
Question is for Charlie. Warren and you are known for saying that if you work with a small sum of capital, namely I think being $10 million, Warren had probably said that he could guarantee that he could compound that at 50% a year. So my question is, can you provide some examples? And I would kindly ask you to provide as many examples as possible and be as specific as possible. Thank you.
Well, and then I hear somebody that really wants to get rich at a rapid rate with specifics. That is not what we try and do here. We want to leave some mystery so that you can amuse yourself finding your own way. The good ideas that I have had in my life are quite few. But the lesson I can give you is a few is all you need, and don't be disappointed. And when you find the few, of course, you've got to act aggressively. That's the Munger system. And I learned that indirectly from a man I never met, which was my mother's maternal grandfather. He was a pioneer. He came out to Iowa and fought in the Black Hawk Wars and so on. And eventually, after enormous hardship, he was the richest man in town, and he owned the bank, and so on. And as he sat there in his old age growing up, my mother knew him because she'd go to Algona, Iowa, where he lived, and had the big house in the middle of town, iron fence, capacious lawns, big barns. And what Grandpa Ingham used to tell her is, there's just a few opportunities you get in a whole lot. This guy took over Iowa when the black topsoil of Iowa was cheap. But he didn't get that many opportunities. There was just a few that enabled him to become prosperous. He bought a few farms every time there was a panic, and he leased them to thrifty Germans. He couldn't lose money leasing a farm to a German in Iowa. But he only did a few things. And I'm afraid you're not going to find a million wonderful ideas.
Do all those things, you are almost certain to succeed. So simple to spend less than you earn and invest shrewdly and avoid toxic people and toxic activities and try and keep learning all your life, etc., etc. And do a lot of deferred gratification because you prefer life that way. And if you do all those things, you are almost certain to succeed. And if you don't, you're going to need a lot of luck. The real opportunities that come to you are few. It's a very fortunate life that is just bathed in opportunity all the way. Most people just get a few times when they can make a huge difference by seizing a huge activity. Just seize it boldly and don't do it small. God's sakes, don't hang by like a timid little rabbit. Don't hang back. They aren't that many of the really big good ones. Life is not just bathing you in unlimited opportunities, even if you work at being able to find them and see.
Boy, what's your dream now?
My dream. Well,
Let's skip the first one.
sometime when I'm especially wishful, I think, oh, to be 90 again. And I got some advice for the young. If you got anything you really want to do, don't wait till you're 93.
No, do it.
I think will not work for most people. Flit around to various careers and go into the other fellow's professional territory and try and outdo him and do all kinds of things like that. I'm always being visited by young men who say, I'm practicing law and I don't like it. I'd rather be a billionaire. How can I do it? And I tell them, well, I'll tell you a story. A young man goes to see Mozart. And he says, Mozart, I want to start composing symphonies. And Mozart said, how old are you? And the guy says, 22. And he says, you're too young to do symphonies. And the guy says, yes, but you were 10 years old when you were composing symphonies. And Mozart says, yes, but I wasn't running around asking other people how to do it.
Right.
So I think this flitting around business is something not everybody should try.
I have a question about, if you were researching a new company that you've never heard of, how would you approach the research process? How much time would you spend if you performed an intrinsic value estimate and the company was expensive? Would you still continue following the company closely and researching it, or do you kind of try to get to a valuation pretty quickly, and if it's not cheap, kind of move on? How do you balance the time you spend on companies?
Well, of course, it's complicated technologically. I tend to leave it to others. I may make an occasional variation in that, but basically I just don't do it. I want to think about things where I have an advantage over other people. I don't want to play a game where the other people have an advantage over me. So if you have a pharmaceutical company and you're trying to guess what new drug is going to be invented, I've got no advantage. Other people are better than I am. I don't play in a game where the other people are wise and I'm stupid. I look for a place where I'm wise and they're stupid. And believe me, it works better. It's God bless our stupid competitors. They make us rich. That's my philosophy, and you have to know the edge of your own competency. You have to kind of know what, this is too tough for me. I'll never figure this out. I'm very good at knowing when I can't handle something. One of my favorite tricks is the inversion process. I'll give you an example. When I was a meteorologist in World War II, they told me how to draw weather maps and predict the weather. But what I was actually doing is clearing pilots to take flights. I just reversed the problem. I inverted. I said, suppose I wanted to kill a lot of pilots. What would be the easy way to do it? And I soon concluded that the only easy way to do it would be to get the planes into icing the planes couldn't handle, or to get the pilot to a place where he'd run out of fuel before he could safely land. So I made up my mind I was going to stay miles away from killing pilots by either icing or getting them into socked-in conditions when they couldn't land. I think that helped me be a better meteorologist in World War II. I just reversed the problem. And if somebody hired me to fix India, I would immediately say, what could I do if I really wanted to hurt India? And I'd figure out all the things that could most easily hurt India, and then I'd figure out how to avoid them. Now, you'd say it's the same thing, it's just in reverse. Algebra works the same way. Every great algebraist inverts all the time because the problems are solved easier. Human beings should do the same thing in the ordinary walks of life. Just constantly avert. You don't think of what you want, you think what you want to avoid. Or when you're thinking what you want to avoid, you also think about what you want. And you just go back and forth all the time. I'm still doing, now that I'm old, I buy these apartment houses. It gives me something to do. And we're different from the way we run them and the way everybody else runs them. Everybody else is trying to show high income so they can have high distributions. We're trying to find ways to intelligently spend money, to make them better. And of course, our apartments do better than other people do because the man who runs them does it so well for me. The man, there are two young men that do it with me. But it's all deferred gratification. We're looking for opportunities to defer. Other people are looking for ways to enjoy. It's a different way of going at life.
Did you start out that way?
By the way, you get more enjoyment out of my life doing it my way than theirs. What?
Did you start out having to work at delayed gratification, or is that just how you were born?
No, I learned this trick early. And, you know, they've done that experiment with the 2 marshmallows with little kids.
Yeah.
And they've done, watch them how they work out in life by now. And the delayed the little kids who are good at deferring the marshmallows are also the people that succeed in life. It's kind of sad that so much is inborn, so to speak. But you can learn it to some extent too, so.
I'm gonna go home and test that out on my kids.
But I was very lucky. I just naturally took to deferred gratification very early in life, and of course it's helped me ever since.
I'm Warren Buffett. This is Charlie Munger. I'm the young one. In the movie, he always gets the girl. When choosing between 2 old rich guys, pick the older one.
Feel 85? It's so interesting to watch you work and talk.
Well, I have a duty. I have to give people hope that Warren has 7 more good years in him. What he wanted said at his funeral. He said, I want them to all be saying that's the oldest looking corpse I ever saw.
That may be the smartest thing I ever said.
You know, if you mix raisins with turds, they're still turds.
That's why they have me write the annual report. We were mental partners right from the moment we met.
I thought he was a prodigy. And I got a lot of criticism. My wife said, why are you paying such enormous respect to that young man with a crew cut who won't eat vegetables? And we never had an argument. We just kind of rolled.